No Excuses audiobook by Brian Tracy. There are thousands of excuses for failure, but never a good reason. Why are some people more successful than others? Why do some people make more money, live happier lives, and accomplish much more in the same number of years than the great majority? What is the real secret of success? Often I begin a seminar with a little exercise. I ask the audience how many people here would like to double their incomes. Almost everyone smiles and raises their hands. I then ask how many of people here would like to lose weights, get out of the depth, achieve financial independence. Again, everyone smiles, some people cheer, and they all raise their hands. Then I say, wonderful. These are great goals that everyone has. We all want to make more money, spend more time with our families, be fit and trim, and achieve financial independence. Not only do we all want the same things, but we all know what we have to do to achieve them, and we all intend to do those things sometimes. But before we get started, we decide that we need to make a little vacation to a wonderful fantasy place called Someday. Else, we say the someday I will read that book, someday I will start the exercise program, someday I will upgrade my skills and earn more money someday. I will get my financials under control and get out of debt someday. I will do all the things that I know I need to do achieve all my goals someday. Probably 80% of the things that I know I need to do to achieve all my goals someday. Probably 80% of the population lives on the Sunday, else most of the time they think and dream and fantasize about all the things they are going to do someday. And who are the surrounded by on someday else? Other people's on the someday. What is the chief topic of the conversation on the Sunday else excuses? They all sit around with the swap excuses for being an Iceland. Where are you here? They ask each other, and not surprisingly, their excuses are largely the same. I didn't have an happy childhood. I didn't get good education. I don't have any money. My boss is really critical. My marriage is not good. No one appreciates me. Or the economy is terrible. They have come down with the diseases of executives, which is invariable, fatal to success. They all have good intention, but as everyone knows, the road of hell is paved with the good intentions. The first rule of the success is simple: vote for incredible brain to think up elaborate relationships and rationalizations and the justification for not taking action. Do something, do anything, get on with the repeat to yourself. If it's to be, it's up to me. Losers make excuses, winners make progress. Now, how can you tell if your favorite excuse is valid or not? Simple: look around and ask, is there anyone else who has my same excuse, who is successful anyway? When you ask this question, if you are honest, you will have to admit that there are thousands and even millions of pupils who have had it far worse than who have gone on to do wonderful things with their lives. And what thousands and millions of other peoples have done, you can do also if you try. It's been said that people put as much as energy into achieve their goals as they spend making up excuses for the failure. They would actually surprise themselves. But first, you have to vote yourself off the Iceland. Very few people start off with the many advantage. Personally, I did not graduate from high school. I worked at laboring jobs for several years. I had a limited education, limited skills, and a limited future. And then I began asking that question, why are some peoples more successful than others? This question changed my life. Over the years, I have read thousands of books and articles on the subject of success achievements. It seems that the reasons of these accomplishments have been discussed and written about the more than 2000 years in every conceivable way. One quality that most philosophers, teachers, and experts agree on is the importance of self discipline. Discipline is what you must have to resist the lure of the excuses. It is self discipline that enables you to vote yourself off the iceland. It is the key to a great life, and without it, no lasting success is possible. The development of self discipline changed my life, and it will change yours as well by continually demanding more from myself. I became successful in sales, and then in management. I caught up on my schooling and took an MBA degree in my 30s, which required thousands of hours determination study. I imported Suzuki vehicle into Canada before anyone else, set up 65 dealerships and sold $25 million worth of vehicles. And this is all after I had started no knowledge of the industry. What I had, however, was the discipline and determination to learn what I needed to know and then to apply and do what I needed to do. I got into real estate development with no knowledge or experience, applied the power of the discipline which was backed by the hundreds of hours of work and study. I then went to build shopping center, industrial parks, office buildings, and residential subdivisions with self-discipline. I have built successful businesses in training, consulting, speaking, writing, recording, and distribution by audio and video programs, books, seminars, and training programs have sold more than $500 million worth in 36 languages in 54 countries. Over the years, I have consulted for more than thousands of companies and trained more than 5 million people in live seminars and talks. In every case, the practice of self-discipline has been essential to my success. I discovered that you can achieve almost any goal you set for yourself if you have the discipline to pay the price, to do what you need to do, to never give up. So this book is written for the ambitious, determined man or woman who want to achieve everything that is possible for them in the life. It is written for the people who are hungry to do more, to have more, to be more than they ever have been before. Perhaps most important insights of all the regards to success is to achieve greatly, you must achieve a different person. It is not a material thing you accomplish or require that matter so much as is the quality of a person that you must become the accomplished well above the average. The development of the self-discipline is the high road that makes everything possible for you in this book. Will several serve you step-by-step guide to becoming a remarkable person who is capable of making remarkable achievements. A chance of encounter reveals the reason of success. Some years ago, I was attending a conference in the Washington, D.C. During the lunch break, I was eating a nearby food fair. The area was crowded, so I sat down at the last open table by myself. Even though it was a table for four, a few minutes later, an older gentleman and a younger woman who appeared to be his assistant came along carrying trays of food and obviously looking a place to sit, having lots of room at my table. I immediately arose and invited the older gentleman to join me. He was hesitant, but I insisted. Finally, he sat down quite thankfully, and we began to chat over the lunch. It turned out that his name was Copy Mayor, and it has happened immediately knew who he was. He was legend in the field of success and achievements, and the Cope Copymer has written a best-selling book, each of which contained 250 success principles that he had derived from more than 50 years of research and study. I had read all 4 books from cover to cover, each more than once after we had chatted for a while. I asked him the question that many people in the situation would ask: for all 1000 success principles that you have discovered, which do you think is the most important? He smiled at me and twinkled in his eyes as he had been asked this question many times, and he replied without hesitating: the most important success principle of all was stated by the Albert Hubbard, one of the most prolific writers in the American history at the beginning of 20th century. He said, self-discipline is the ability to do what you should do when you should do, whether you feel like it or not. He went to say there are 999 other success principles that I have found in my reading and experiencing, but without self-discipline, none of them work with self-discipline. They all work. Thus, self-discipline is the key to personal greatness. It's the magic quality that opens all the doors for you, makes everything else possible. Self-discipline, average person can raise as far as fast as his talent and intelligence can take him, but without self-discipline, a person with every blessing of the background, education, opportunity will seldom arise above mediocrity. Your 2 worst enemies, just as self-discipline is the key to success, the lack of self-discipline is the major cause of failure, frustration, underachievement and unhappiness in the life. It causes us to make excuses and sell ourselves short. Perhaps the 2 biggest enemies of success, happiness and personal fulfillment, are first the path of least resistance, and second the expediency factor. The path of least resistance is what causes people to take the easy way in the almost every situation. They seek shortcuts to everything. They arrive at work at the last minute and leave at the first opportunity. They look for get rich quick schemes and easy money. Over time, they develop the habit of always seeking an easier, faster way to get the things they want, rather than doing what is hard but necessary to achieve real success. The expediency factor, which is the extension of the law of least resistance, is even worse when leading people to failure and underachievement. This principle says people invariably seek the fastest and easiest way to get the things they want right now, with little or non concern of the long term consequences of their behavior. In other words, most people do what every minute of every day battle going on inside of our between doing what is right, hard and necessary, like the angel on one shoulder, or doing what is fun, easy or little or no value, like the devil on your other shoulder. Every minute of every day you must fight and win this battle with the expediency factor and resist the pull of the path of least resistance if you truly desire to become everything you are capable of becoming. Take control of yourself. Another definition of self-discipline is self-mastery. Success is only possible when you can master your own emotions, appetites and inclinations. People who lack the ability to master their appetite become weak and dissolute, as well as unreliable in other things. As well, self-discipline can also be defined as self-control, your ability to control yourself and your action, control what you say and do, and ensure that your behavior is consistent with your long-term goals and objective is the mark of the superior person. Discipline has been defined on as a self-denial This requires that you deny yourself the easy pleasure, the temptations that lead so many people astray, and instead discipline yourself to do only those things that you know are right for the long term and appropriate for the moment. Self discipline requires delayed gratification, the ability to put off satisfaction in the short term in order to enjoy greater rewards in the long term. Think long term. Sociologist Dr. Edward Banfield of Harvard University conducted a 50-year study into the reasons for the upward socioeconomic mobility in America. He concluded that the most important single attribute of the people who achieved great success in life was long-time perspective. Banfield defined that perspective as the amount of time an individual takes into the consideration determining his present action. In other words, the most successful peoples are long-term thinkers. They look into the future as far as they can determine the kind of people they want to become and the goal they want to achieve. They come back to the present and determine the things that they will have to do or not to do, achieve their desired futures. This practice of long term thinking applies to work, career, marriage, relationship, money, and personal conduct, each of which is covered in the pages ahead. Successful people make sure that everything they do in short terms is consistent where they want to end up in the long term. They practice self discipline at all time. Perhaps the most important word in long term thinking is sacrifice. Superior peoples have the ability throughout their lives to make sacrifice in the short term, both large and small, so as to assure greater results and rewards. In long term, you see this willingness to sacrifice in pupils who spend many hours and even years preparing, studying, and upgrading their skills to make themselves more valuable so that they can have a better life in the future, rather than spending most of their time socializing and having fun in the present. Longfellow once wrote, "Those heights by great men won and kept were not achieved by sudden flight, while their companions slept toiling upwards in the night." Your ability to think, plan, and work hard in the short term and to discipline yourself to do what is the right and necessary before you do what is the fun and easy is the key of creating a wonderful life for yourself. Your ability to think long term is developed skill as you get better, more able to predict action in the present. This is the quality of superior thinker. Short term gain can cause the first is called the law of unintended consequences. This law states that the unintended consequences of an action can be far worse than the intended consequences of that behavior because of lack long term thinking.